Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. Today, I'm going to do some digital archaeology. You may remember a little while ago, I got a big donation of CoCo stuff. That included the Banker Board 256K CoCo 2 that I worked on a little while ago. And it also included a whole lot of discs. So I'm going to perform a little bit of digital archaeology today. I hear you asking, what exactly is digital archaeology? Well, I'm going to be going through some of these discs and looking for treasures. What kind of treasures am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for unique programs that maybe the previous owner of these discs maybe made some one-off programs that might be kind of interesting to look at. I'm also looking for alternate versions of games that are currently out there. But the holy grail of doing something like this is trying to find a game that is thought to be lost. One that nobody has any copies of. That is the ultimate thing to find on some of these old discs. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to find a couple of discs that look interesting, then we're going to go through them. So I guess it's time to grab my fedora and my bullwhip and go do some digital archaeology. But first, I have to give a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay, where you can have PCBs printed starting at only $5 for 10 boards. Old storage media like floppy disks is great for that retro nostalgia hit. But if you want something new and reliable, that'll mean some sort of PCB to attach to your retro system. There are many available, but if you want to design your own, PCBWay will work with you to print your circuit boards and even 3D print your cases for you. Their work is excellent quality and excellent pricing, so why not visit PCBWay today at www.pcbway.com. So I have here a selection of a few discs that I thought might be interesting. I don't know what I'm going to find on these. I don't know how far I'm going to get into them, but I've got a couple that are labeled basic games, a couple that are labeled CoCo games, new CoCo programs, and 3D. So let's start with the first basic games. Okay, a few more programs than fit on the screen, so try that again. V1 is the first. And, okay, that's just a program to fire up WP64. So, run it. All right, well, that does not work. Now, one thing I'm not doing today is diving into these programs and figuring out why they're not working and why they are working. I am just doing looking. Oops. All right, we have a little bit more of, looks like a game here. This is Blackjack, which I'm going to guess is a blackjack game. Well, FC error in 40. Well, let's just take line 40 out of there. This looks to me like it was probably done on a different screen than the CoCo. Yeah, it's trying to print a whole bunch of stuff off screen. So I've been going through this disk and I found most of the games on this disk. If you look at, say, what's line 30 here, it's Creative Computing. So most of these games are from a book by Creative Computing. As a matter of fact, here is that book. So this is a book of a whole bunch of different type-in games, 101 of them actually. I would guess that the programs that are on this disk are in fact made to run on the Model 1 or Model 3 because the screen locations just don't exist here on the CoCo. Your screen locations are 0 to 511. So and you can see it's trying to print at 534, which is off the screen. However, there are a couple games at the end, the video poker ones. The first one has some problems with it, but the second two look pretty much like the same game. Anyways, they're by Shane McDonald. Shane McDonald is the one that I got all of these discs from, as well as the Banker board, CoCo 2, and a bunch of books and stuff. So this is a nice little poker game. So it's jacks or better. So let's save 3 and 5. And I lost. Anyway, yeah, a nice little basic poker game that I found on this disc. Otherwise, everything else needs a little bit of work to get it running to work with the 101 computer games book. Now we're on to the next disc, which is another basic games disc. Now, will this one be full of the same style of games all from that book, or will it be something entirely new? Looks like it's another copy of the same disc almost, except for a few things at the end. Let's start with Spy. It's a fairly large program. Let's try running that, and okay, so there seems to be quite a bit of going over the screen again. Yeah. So this would be one that also needs a little bit of work to shrink it down to the CoCo size screens. One thing about it, it's not actually erroring out because it's not printing at places, I guess. Okay. I'll continue to look through these and see if anything is actually worth looking at and get back to you. Okay, I have gone through the other programs that are on here. They all seem to be kind of simulating different counting things, like how long it takes to do different stuff, which I'm not sure what he's exactly doing there, but I am going to move on to CoCo Games number 1. Let us see what is in CoCo Games number 1. Ooh, lots of stuff. try the next basic program, just cuz. Space Fighter, 1982 by A.J. Harding, Sole Distributors, Molamerics Limited. Okay, this looks like... Does it do anything else? Oh, it was playing music. I don't have my headphones on, so I can't hear it playing music. 5 rockets. How about? 2. I want them to be slow. Yes. Press any key to start. Ooh, okay, this is probably not supposed to be... There, turn the composite there. I can see it much better now. Oh, so it's just a shooting game. So let's do 5 rockets again. This time only 1 ship. Slow. Yes. So it moves automatically, and then when it's in the center, you have to fire. I lost. Okay, interesting. Not a bad little game. I've never seen that game before. I've gone through the programs on this disc the best that I could, the ones that I could get open and everything else. Basic programs were mostly productivity programs, doing things like able to do hex dumps of the memory and things like that, finding out where programs start and end. And for the games, they were... there was one there for Starship, which was Starship Chameleon. Excellent game. There was one that was the Supercolor Terminal, Checkers King, Trap Fall, which is a pitfall game. Space EA is Space Assault, which is a Space Invaders game. And Galactic is Galactic Attack. So all pretty good games on here, but all games that I know except for that Space Fighter that I saw at the very beginning of the disc. So now it is time to move on to the next disc. So that was CoCo Games number 1. Now we're on to CoCo Games number 2. What will I find on this disc? Okay, looks like a bunch more games. And I would say that we have a problem with that program. Oh, yep. Nope, definitely a problem. I wonder if there might be some bad sectors on this disc, or... Alright, well, I'm going to go see if this disc even works, and I'll be back. Alright, I've been through a whole bunch of the stuff on this disc, and I can't seem to get anything to load that's larger than 1 sector. So something is definitely wrong with this disc. That happens when you have these discs that are coming up on some of them 50 years old, so 45 years old. So now we're going to go to new CoCo programs, games number 1. All right, this looks like a bunch of video games. FrogJoy. I don't know if these are going to be anything special about any of these games, or are they just copies of the games. Switch it over to composite. Modified by Cracker for joystick play. The Frog. Okay, I've played The Frog. As a matter of fact, yes, I've definitely played The Frog. Just 1 second, I'm going to look something up. Okay, so actually this is a slightly different version than the one I have played, because the one that is on the archive is a keyboard-only game. And with joystick, it's about as responsive as the keyboard game. But this is The Frog, and I have to actually say this one I have not seen before. I have not seen a version that has been cracked to use a joystick, as the original version was keyboard only. All right, well, I'm going to continue looking through the rest of the games, and I will get back to you if I find anything like this that I have not seen before. I've been through the entire disc, and FrogJoy, obviously a version of the Frog that I have not seen before, because you can use a joystick with it, so the actual name of it now makes sense. FrogJoy, the Frog joystick version. And the other one that I found that brought a glimmer of hope to me, or a glimmer of excitement, was the pool game that I found here. Now, when this runs, you can see that Color Pool, by some strange names there, and the copyright date is 2983, so this is obviously a cracked version. But I looked and I could not find anywhere on the archive a copy of Color Pool, or on L. Curtis Boyle's website a copy of Color Pool. But when I looked up Antico Software, I did find the game 8 Ball, which here's the title screen for that. And yeah, that is exactly the same game. So this is just a cracked version of 8 Ball, so it's not a long-lost game that I have found. And that is that for that disc. We will now move on to the disc called 3D. So this is the first non-game style disc that I'm looking at. Let's take a look. Oh, it's got a big directory, so well, let's try the first program on there that's in BASIC. Auto exec. I don't know what the dis files are. Okay, so run disp. Okay, well, let's run this and see what happens. Yes. Oh, 3D display program, machine language display, written by David Meredith, 1983. Modified for DOS 1.0.6 by Tony Carnolan, 1986. So this is a change to the DOS, I guess, to the language that's within the computer. So is it still... Yes. All right, so we've done the auto exec. We've got this interesting look to the screen now. Let's try club logo. Club logo is basic. And run. Use up and down to scroll the screen. Durham Color News. Ah, very nice. A good smooth scroll there. Does it go down the bottom? Nope. Just out the top and back in. Okay. What's our next one? The move. How about? Okay. See, this is the kind of stuff I like. Just interesting stuff that I've never seen before. So, move. Okay, a few things on there, so let's run it and see what happens. It's loading, obviously, other things in, and... Oh, it looks like some wireframe graphics. Durham 80C, I guess that says. Okay, you got some rotating wireframe graphics. That's... very nice. Leave it running for a minute to see if anything else happens. Oh, yes. We're getting a whole show here. We got a space shuttle. Kind of cool because it's not just rotating on one axis, it's rotating on all different axes. Well, I guess technically it's rotating on two axes. And it's leaving. We're floating away from the spacecraft. If you're an astronaut, that would be the last thing you want to see, is the spacecraft getting further and further away from you. Yep, this drive's kicking in again, and this time we have a room. Sort of. What is it exactly? Oh, it's a desk. Okay. Oh, and now we've moved into a sphere. Kind of 8-sided D&D dice, I would say. A 6-sided D&D dice. or a box. A box within a box within a box. And are we back at the start? We are back at the start, I think. Yes. Run. Try. Okay, so it's reversing colors, reversing bars on the screen. Huh, cool. All right, so this is the 3D disc. This is by far, even though I'm definitely a games person at heart, this is by far the coolest disc that I've looked at yet. Well, there we go. That was a little bit of digital archaeology. There's those first few discs, it brought out some interesting stuff. Obviously, there was a game that I had never seen before. It was a basic game, but one that I'd never seen before. All of those programs that were typed in from that type-in book that seemed to be more geared for the Model 1 or Model 3, I think I might have a little bit of fun going through those and actually fixing them up so that they will work on the CoCo. And then there was the alternate version of the Frog that uses a joystick, so I'd never seen that before. And then the alternate version of 8-Ball Pool, the color pool version. I mean, the game's exactly the same, it's just the title screen that's different. But by far the coolest disc there was that 3D one. I'm not much of a programmer myself, but if I was, I would be taking those programs apart to see how all of that is done, because that'd be cool. And maybe if I do learn a little bit more programming, that might be something I do in the future. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this little dive into the digital archaeology of the color computer. If you did, don't forget that a like, a subscribe, and a comment below are all things that help the channel out a lot and are greatly appreciated. But until next time, see you later.